This is part 3 in the Creating Music series, and today we're going to talk about lyrics in creating music. So let's get to it. My name's Todd Nelson. I'm a musician, I'm a composer, I'm an educator. I do a lot of different things and I wear a lot of different hats. And on this channel we talk about learning about music, all the different things for us mere mortals and for you curious onlookers. We just talk about many things that you might be curious about. And today is the part 3 of the series. We've been talking about creating music. This is just one way that I create music. Sometimes I sit down with a pencil and paper, a manuscript paper. But sometimes, if I'm writing something that's other than an instrumental piece of music, and I've been inspired by an idea or a thought or an image or something, and I decide to write a lyrics, I've got to take a little bit different approach to creating that piece of music as opposed to just an instrumental piece of music. So I've already developed some ideas. Or maybe I'm going to move this step maybe before even developing the ideas. I felt like I needed to spend at least one video on talking about writing with lyrics because it adds an extra step into the process, and sometimes it can be a lengthy step as we get into it. So what might happen is that I've come up with a notion or an idea. Again, it might be imagery or something, and it occurs to me that I could see writing with words to make this piece even bigger and make it have more impact. So in that case, if I'm going to make a decision to go ahead and write a lyric, I am going to go ahead and do a couple things. Most of all, I'm going to start with a title. So if I've come up with an idea, and let's say it's like, you're leaving on the last train. Now that might be a lyric title in itself. I might have a more obscure thought like, I'm very lonely because you've gone. Well, that could be even a lyric title too. But an idea sometimes when you get ready to start on working on a lyric, you might want to start with a title because you want to have a title that might be the key to the whole song. That it's a key word or a key group of words that goes ahead and sums up the title message of whatever your song is. So Last Train Going Home, if I use that, so if I use the title of Last Train Going Home, that might be the key phrase that I put into my chorus, and maybe it's the last line of the chorus so that it has some real impact on it. But I'm going to start with a title, try to come up with something that it does in fact capture exactly the essence of what I'm going to be talking about in the song. Then frequently I'll go ahead, I'll write the chorus first, since that's my main part of my song and I want it to be the payoff piece of the song. I might write out a few lines of it. I might write a couple of rhyme schemes and see, yeah, maybe this is what the chorus is going to be. We've gone through all this turmoil. Staying here has left me nothing but pain. There's nothing I can do now but take the last train going home. That might be an idea that I would take and say that this is going to be my chorus. The next thing is that I would want to try to create some sort of a song plot. Now, a song plot is something that you can use to make sure that the song goes somewhere. If I'm creating a lyric, I want to make sure that it goes somewhere. So I might start with an idea like life could be better, and these are generic ideas when I talk about song plots. So in using that song plot, I would create some development ideas. So verse 1 would be something like the way I'd like things to be. Then maybe a pre-chorus would be things change. And then maybe the chorus would be the way things are. So verse 1 would be sort of positive, the way things should be. The pre-chorus says things are changing, and maybe the chorus is more of a negative idea, saying that, but this is really the way things are. Then I'd go back to a second verse, and again, that would reinforce that positive thing, something along the lines of the way things I'd like to be in the future. I've seen it before. Then you get to the pre-chorus again, but things have changed and now that's no longer possible. Chorus hits again at the negative piece of it that says, but this is the way things are. But then maybe your bridge is something like, that's the way things were, but everything's going to be all right. So that's an example of a song plot. It has some ebb and flow to it. It has some conflict and some resolution to it. A couple other ideas that we would use for song plots might be something like life is good now, no more problems. Things are happening. I've got feelings. And these are just some various ones. I've heard this from other people who who are lyric writers, and they use devices like this so that you can use them to make sure that whatever your idea is goes somewhere. It has some conflicts and resolution, makes your lyric turn into something that goes somewhere and takes people on a journey. Once I've got that, and I've got these basic building blocks of where I'm going to go ahead and how I'm going to develop each of those thoughts, I'd start with that chorus. I'd develop a rhyme scheme. Is it going to just be first and third line rhyme, second and fourth line rhyme, or am I going to do something more clever depending on the way I write my rhyming? So it might be first and second. First and second are independent. Third line is the rhyming line. Fourth and fifth line are independent, and the sixth line is the rhyming line. Now, there's lots of examples of this, and you can go out and find other examples of how you might want to build rhyme schemes. And I'll reference some of the books that I think that are really good in helping develop a rhyme scheme. But once you've developed that rhyme scheme for the chorus, you're also going to do that for your verse and decide how you're going to reveal the lyric. You go ahead and build these rhymes, and you're not going to try to go for perfection on this. This is not at the point where you're doing what we would call wordsmithing. Wordsmithing is when you really pick exact words, exact rhymes, and that's really when you start to become much more of a seasoned lyric writer. I have to say I am not. I've written a lot of songs, and I find it very difficult to write lyrics. But these are some of the building blocks you can use to build a decent song to get started before you get into that wordsmithing process. Also during this process, you might start to find out that you've got a specific type of melody that's going to go with your lyric. You'll notice that at certain places, the way that the words come off of your tongue, there might be a very specific place in a given line where it may feel like it should rise in the melody. And that's where you start to tie your lyric back to your song. So you've come up with your title, and you've written sort of a rough chorus, and you've gone ahead and you've decided on a rhyme scheme. Once you have an idea of the type of song it's going to be, and you have some keywords like long train, the notion of leaving or something, then you may want to go ahead and just generate a list of maybe 200 words, rhyming words that are related to your topic that you might be able to set aside and draw on as you're creating those verses and your bridge and your chorus. You'll have that to draw on so that you have words that have impact, and you can use those the way you need to as you can drop words into your lyric. So at this point, as I said, as we're starting to try to think, okay, now I've got a lyric and I'm going to have to start to build it with my melody. This is where we make the transition back with our ideas that we've been developing in the previous videos in this series. Writing a lyric and a melody as part of a song or as a part of your piece of music, there's a dance that goes on between your lyric and your melody and your song. And what I mean by that is that at this point, when you start to work on putting together your song and adding the melody to your melodic ideas, you're going to find that you will have a scratch melody, you're going to have some lyrics, and perhaps they've rhymed a certain way. And as you put those words and that rhyme to the melodic ideas you find, you're going to find that they'll start to change. They have to. Either you're going to have to change your melodic ideas so they're longer or shorter to fit your rhyme, or you're going to have to change your rhyme scheme so that it fits in with your song as well. Because often what will happen is you'll have a rhyme scheme and you'll put it on top of a section of chords that's supposed to fit in a certain section. You finish that rhyme scheme and you find out that you run out of time before you have to launch into the pre-chorus or the chorus. And so you might need to add an extra bar to your melodic ideas. So in doing that, you'll start to do that dance back and forth between melody and rhythmic ideas so that those will all fit together. Now, I know this is a very, very fast way of talking about melody and using those in the creating a music process. I highly suggest that you use a lot of the resources that are out there. I've used numerous resources over the years. There's a book by Jimmy Webb called Wordsmithing, and he is a famous songwriter in the Los Angeles area. This is a very in-depth book on the process of songwriting with lyrics, and I highly recommend it, as well as a book by Sheila Davis, and this is called Successful Lyric Writing. It's actually a step-by-step course, and she really talks about the whole process of writing lyrics and gives you lots of exercises so that you can get better. And so if you're really in someone who wants to develop your lyric writing to make it much better, this is a great one to use, as well as many of the people who are out on YouTube as well, who talk about lyric writing and give you lots of exercises to how to build lyrics very quickly. This is just a quick primer in terms of trying to get your musical ideas, add a quick lyric to it, and move it down the track so that you know the full process of creating a piece of music. So as we wrap up this video talking about lyrics, I want to encourage you to go ahead, if you've got an idea in your head about a lyric, maybe it's based on imagery, mountains, a train, whatever those things are, I want to encourage you to go ahead and try to sit down, maybe write a chorus, maybe write a verse, and see if you can think about a song plot that you might use to develop that lyric into a full lyric. So that's your call to action. Question of the day, how do you create lyrics? What is the method you use to go ahead and turn your ideas into a lyric? Well, I'm glad you were here today. This is the end of the third video. Next up, we're going to talk about using form in building videos. If you like what you heard today, please go ahead and leave your comments below, and please hit that subscribe button down below here. And come on back and visit us as we go into part 4 of creating music.